NBA trade deadline came and went on Thursday. Jazz standing pat, no deals.
Looks like it was a good call the way they've been performing since then. That hasn't always been the case, though. The Jazz have made several deadline deals over the years that had an impact on the franchise. Let's rewind the 5 most memorable trade deadline moments in Jazz history. Let's begin with a deadline trade that didn't happen 20 years ago this week. Harper nixed a trade that would have sent him from Dallas to Utah. He uttered this infamous quote when explaining his decision.
There was a Utah deal, but, you go live in Utah. I don't want to, nothing against Utah or their team or anything. They have a solid team, but, I prefer not to go to Utah. That wasn't my preference.
He said, well, the Houston deal, we couldn't get the Houston deal done, and I had a Utah offer, Utah deal. But you go live in Utah. So that kind of makes me pissy.
Enes Kanter blew a kiss goodbye to Utah 2 years ago at the deadline when the Jazz sent the disgruntled center packing for Oklahoma City. His exit was less than graceful.
You miss anything about Utah?
Mountains, that's it, I guess.
Now hated and booed by Jazz fans, maybe Enes is wised up 2 years later.
If you get traded, you can't do nothing about it. You just have to be nice to the fans, to the media, to your teammates. That's the one advice I give to people who get traded.
One of the most important days in Jazz franchise history was February 19th, 2004, when they acquired Tom Gugliotta from the Suns. No, really. But it wasn't Gugliotta that was the prize of the trade. It was the Knicks' 2010 first-round pick. The Jazz turned that pick into Gordon Hayward.
The Utah Jazz select Gordon Hayward, Butler University.
Pretty disappointed.
Boo!
They told me they booed John Stockton, too.
Hayward to the rack for 2 more. He's got the look.
What this boiled down to for me was a determination of whether Deron was going to be with the Jazz once his contract expired or if he was going to be moving on. And my gut was that Deron needed to be in a bigger market somewhere, and for that reason probably wouldn't re-sign with the Jazz.
The Jazz stunned the basketball world on February 23rd, 2011, trading all-star point guard Deron Williams to the Nets for Derek Favors, Devin Harris, cash, and a first-round pick that became Enes Kanter. It launched a lengthy rebuild for the Jazz, while Deron was never quite the same in Brooklyn, who paid him $25 million to go away.
My wife made a comment the other night. I think it was after we played Utah, and I walked back. I said, boy, if I could only play with Stockton a few years, get some open shots. And then when I was traded, she goes, you must be in heaven now knowing you're going to go play with John. So.
The best trade deadline move in franchise history occurred on February 24th, 1994. The Jazz sent Jeff Malone and a first-round pick to the 76ers for Jeff Hornacek.
Hornacek, one bounce dribble, force it up, good if it goes, it's gone! Jeff Hornacek!
Jeff became one of the most popular players in Jazz history, and his number now hangs from the rafters at Vivint Arena. Apparently, he was gifted a Rick Majerus sweater when he arrived in Salt Lake City.